I'm doing this video like barely naked. Well, I wouldn't really say naked at all, I have my underwear on. But yeah, I've just gotten back from Guinea Bissau, and I say they were some of the worst roads I've ever experienced in my life. I mean, I've been traveling on better roads in countries like Moldova or Mauritania had better roads, but this is Africa, and all. At least the Chinese are helping out Africa these days. It's just like how the Parliament of Zimbabwe was built by China. So anyway, I only spent about it's like 48 hours in Guinea Bissau, because that's really what I wanted. All I wanted to do was get to Bissau, see the famous Portuguese fort, see Independence Square, see the presidential palace, see the first, and that pretty much was about it. It was pretty much the end of the line of my trip, because I envisioned years ago that I'd go from Morocco to the Gambia, that flying, but then I thought, well, why not continue on to Guinea Bissau? Now, the only reason that I've not continued on to Guinea Conakry is because of the bad roads, and I've read all the reports about how people have gone from Bissau to Conakry. It took them 2 or 3 days. I thought to myself, if Guinea is the next country that I want to visit, I could easily get a cheap flight from Paris via Casablanca for 400 quid return. So I fly into Conakry, no stress. I'll get an e-visa before I go. And then the nice thing is you can get a ferry to Freetown in Sierra Leone. And then of course, I may need like a double entry visa for Sierra Leone. It'll cost more at the embassy, but it's like 80 US bucks a visa, so it's like 60 quid my currency. And then I want to continue on to Monrovia in Liberia. Like, I was warned by people online that Monrovia wouldn't be cheap. There's hardly any like cheap accommodation. But I know a famous guy called Waddell, thanks to Drubinski, and I followed him online and what he does for hunger, how he builds wells all over Monrovia. Oh, that would be quite an interesting trip. But the reason why I have to fly in and out of Conakry is because to get to Monrovia or Freetown from London is like super expensive. Even if it's like through Brussels Airlines, it's just like they're asking 600 quid return. When I just don't understand how I paid like 360 return Kenyan Airways from Paris to Johannesburg via Nairobi 2 years ago. I mean, yes, it was 2 years ago, prices do go up, but it's not like, to be truthfully honest with you, okay, Africa is quite cheap when you go by road, but by plane it's just so goddamn expensive. I flew to Ouagadougou earlier this year just because of safety measurements. I didn't want to take the borders with like Ghana, Togo, or Benin. I was told just to fly out of Ouagadougou if you want to live, and that's what I did. I only just stayed in Ouagadougou. But there's other countries in West Africa that are really kind of becoming a bit complicated to visit these days. Mali's visa, you need to have a letter of invitation from somebody in Mali, and there's no Malian embassy in London. It's only done in Paris. But I do hear you can get a Malian visa cheaply in Conakry, so I'll look up for that. But I'd rather just fly into like Bamako from near Paris. Same case with Niger. I can actually get a Nigerian visa in not London, but Milton Keynes at the Honorary Consul for about 100 quid. But as because of security measures, I just have to fly in and out of Miami, like no overland buses. I know the visa for Nigeria is possible, but it's quite restrictive. There's lots of paperwork involved, much than what I had to do for Ghana, and it tends to cost like a lot of money. So unless you really want to travel more of Nigeria, it just doesn't seem really worth it to pay that much money for one country. So I'm just gonna wait till Nigeria, lowers the cost. Like, let's just say if Nigeria was to give out like a 5-day transit visa for $40, I'd be a shoo-in. Yeah. What else is there? I mean, Like some people, they drive from Morocco to South Africa without flying, and they take the western route and they kind of skip out on Guinea Bissau or Sierra Leone, Liberia. Um, the reason why I don't do this in like one whole trip, like why I'm not going all the way to South Africa, is because I've got commitments in London. So I'd rather spend a whole week within Ghana and its neighbours, and come back to West Africa 3 months time, and then do what I've just done. Is just gone from Morocco to Guinea Bissau, flying, and then 3 months now, 4 months now, I will take on Conakry, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and maybe Ivory Coast. See it properly rather than just the transit at the airport. To be frankly honest with you, I'm quite happy I've been on 21 African nations in less than 3 years, because I did not go back to Africa for 10 whole years. I neglected the continent, and it's pretty much my fault because I was just too busy, living in Australia, going to Europe every now and then moving to Europe when I was nearly 30, and then I didn't go back to Africa until I was 35, and then I've been to so many different countries in a 3-year period. When you think about the Gambia, Senegal, Kenya, transit, South Africa, Lesotho, Eswatini, Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Tunisia, Ghana, Togo, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Benin, Western Sahara, if you really want to count it for a country, don't tell the Moroccans, Mauritania, and Egypt, if I haven't mentioned that, and even though I only went to the Asia part of Egypt, and then just recently, Guinea Bissau. To be frankly honest, I've only got like 20 pages left in my passport, and I've got a jumbo-sized passport like right here, and so I only renewed my British passport last year. I left my Australian passport at home because the Australian passport would just cause me so much trouble, like in Senegal, because I don't give out free visas in Senegal. So I don't want to share much information, but I mean, look, it's like my past is becoming like a Bible, and I just really like how I get the full paid fees for like Ghana, Mauritania, Togo, Guinea Bissau. Just brings back like so many good memories. Like, or yeah. So anyway, to be brutally honest, it is possible to go from Morocco to Guinea Bissau in 10 days, but I didn't see any of the sights in the Sahara Desert, because if I did that, it would have set me back an extra 2 or 3 days in Mauritania, when I had a huge desire just to go back to sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, I will hopefully go to Algeria at the end of the year, depending on the visas. But that's just, it's a hit and miss situation. I'm willing to go there just to mark it off, because then I'll be able to colour in a big piece of Africa. Sometimes, I ask myself, when I'm on the road, should I have really gone to Jamaica, or should I have really gone to Barbados, or should I have really gone to Northeast Asia, Japan? And the answer was no, because you don't go to that part of the world that often. I mean, I returned to Asia after 4 years last year, and it had been 6 years since I was in Central Asia. But this month I was originally going to do a flying trip around the Middle East, but then I backed out because of just nothing political, but I just thought maybe, well, what if the airspace closes around Jordan and Israel and I won't be able to get home? It just, I think I have to stay out of the Middle East for a while, even though I would like to go to Jerusalem and Israel and a lot of Middle Eastern countries. But I can't wait till I go to Israel one day and I show them this passport, and it's got mostly African stamps, but it does have a stamp from Iraq, but I was only there for a day, and to be honest, it was Kurdish Iraq. So, right now it's 2 o'clock, there's no power, the power's gone out. the kitchen's hotel. I mean, this is gonna suck a bit, but I think I'll just catch up on some sleep now. Anyway, Metalhead, over and out.